Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. So it's kind of funny because it feels like pretty much for like a month straight, I've said, hey, we're going to slowly start to get out of the basketball stuff. We're going to start to focus on football. It's going to be football full speed ahead here on the Aaron Torres Pod and Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel. Then every single time I say that, something in the basketball world happens that drags us back into hoops. And it again happened while I was on vacation here over the last couple days. So I was on vacation last week, blessed to kind of just get away last couple days with the family, whatever. But I bring it up because while I was gone, felt like every single time I logged into social media, something funny happened. Another elite high school basketball player announced that he was cutting his list, that he was setting up visits, that he was setting up a commitment date, whatever. Well, what was also interesting was it wasn't just that players were cutting lists, setting up visits, etc. It was that there seemed to be one school that basically feels like it's absolutely in the mix with virtually every elite player in the class of 2025. It is John Calipari. It is the Arkansas Razorbacks. And I just got really kind of one question as we start to get deep into this 2025 recruiting cycle. It's straightforward. It's simple. It's to the point. Is Arkansas about to put together not just a good recruiting class, not just a potentially number one in the country recruiting class, but are they about to put together a historic 2025 recruiting class? Don't think we're there yet, but do think if a couple things fall Calipari's way, we could be talking about the Arkansas recruiting class as potentially not just good, not just number one in 2025, but historically great. So let's go ahead and discuss. By the way, as you can see, make sure to follow our Torres on the Hogs Twitter page for all your late-breaking Arkansas sports coverage. So let's go ahead and dive in. First of all, like it is worth noting, before we get into all the players that could, that might, that should, that will, that won't commit to Arkansas, play at Arkansas, whatever, they already have the highest rated player in America that is currently committed to any college committed. And that's, of course, Darius Acuff. Now, we talked about Darius Acuff when he committed. We don't need to go through all of it again and again and again. But 6'3" guard, originally from Detroit, plays at IMG Academy, committed earlier in this month in August. Like I said, he's not only the highest rated player in the country that has committed so far, he is a really talented player that I think is perfect for that Calipari system. Lead guard, ball in his hands, gets to the rim, finishes at the rim, tough, plays both ends of the court, gets others involved. He's just that old school Calipari guard, right? You look at most of Cal's best teams, have that lead guard, put the ball in his hands, bulldog, make plays. That's who Darius Acuff is. So he is committed. And if nothing else happens in this class of 2025, I'm here to tell you, this is a great cornerstone first piece for that 25-26 roster. That's if nothing else happens. Here's the thing, though. Don't think that nothing else is going to happen. And like I said, there were a lot of updates while I was gone, so let's go ahead and dive in. And let's actually start with another top 10 prospect and a player that the last time that I talked about him, I had kind of completely eliminated Arkansas from the mix. That is five-star guard, 6'4" guard, Meleek Thomas, originally from Pittsburgh, who is headed to Overtime Elite this year. And this is a moment in time right now. I just got to put all my cards on the table, right? We've done 2, 3, 4 Meleek Thomas updates over the course of the summer. And the bottom line is, during all those updates, the messaging from me and the messaging from virtually everybody who covers high school basketball is that Meleek Thomas was done and that it wasn't to Arkansas. Felt like really from June on that this guy was going to be a UConn Husky, okay? This was the kid, remember, he was supposed to visit in early June. That gets pushed back because Dan Hurley gets a call from the Los Angeles Lakers. So he doesn't go to visit in early June, visits in late June. And at that time, it was kind of wild because he was kind of asked about it. And he was kind of asked about, hey, you know, this coach interviewed for the Lakers. Would that worry you at all? He said, no. It's actually the exact opposite. He said, if that guy's good enough for the Lakers, that makes me want to play for him even more. So it felt like it was a done deal. But then some interesting stuff happened. June came and went, no commitment. July came and went, no commitment. The summer circuit is over. When we last talked about him, he had cut his list to 7. It included UConn, it included his local school, Pitt, included Arkansas, included a few others. But as time has gone on, I'll be blunt. It feels like not only is it trending away from UConn, but it is trending very much in the favor of not being UConn even in the mix at all. Found it interesting. This tweet kind of lined up with some stuff I heard really around the front end of my trip. This was from HS Top Recruiting on Twitter. This is a high school basketball recruiting page that does a very good job covering the world of college basketball. Well, I bring it up because this was one of many outlets that said that they thought Malik Thomas was favored to go to UConn. And on the 11th of August, which I'm not great at math, but I believe was 2 Sundays ago at this point, they said, quote, and I'm sorry I can't pop up the tweet. I apologize. That one's on me. But this is according to HS Top Recruiting. This one appears to be fading away from UConn per multiple sources, talking about Malik Thomas. Arkansas, Kansas, Alabama, Kansas State, Pitt, all schools to watch out for. So what I would say on that is a couple things. One, I had heard that it's trending away from UConn. And I just think this is one where, I think there's a few variables going on. I think the kid wants to take more visits, think he should be allowed to. And I think UConn's kind of at the point, and I've heard my buddy Mark, who hosts the Locked On UConn podcast, said this the other day. He's like, I think UConn's kind of at the point where they're like, we've kind of shown you everything there is for you to see. You've been to campus, you know the staff, you know the role, you know what we're about. And like, we're UConn. We're the 2-time defending champs. We're not going to sit around and wait for you forever. And I don't think that's an arrogant thing from UConn, but I don't think UConn wants to sit around and wait 4 or 5 months and then fall out of the picture. And so it feels like UConn has moved on to other players, notably a Caden Lewis, a 4-star guard from the DC area. But at the same time, it also feels like some others have emerged for Malik Thomas. Now, that page listed 4 or 5 schools. What I have heard is that it's Arkansas and Kansas State for Malik Thomas, and that I think Arkansas has now gotten into that driver's seat. Now, what's especially interesting about this is that in my opinion, is that it feels like to me, I've been the guy that said not only did I think Malik Thomas was going to UConn, but beyond that, I also question, could Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas play together? Well, this is something I am not privy to. I don't have the information. I'm not pretending to. But it feels like John Calipari and his staff have made Darius Acuff and made Malik Thomas comfortable that those two can coexist. Now, the good news is if there's any coach that has proven they can do it, it's John Calipari, right? You can go back to John Wall and Eric Bledsoe in 2009, 2010. Go back to DJ Wagner, Reed Shepard, and Rob Dillingham last year. Heck, you could go to this first Arkansas team where I think DJ Wagner's going to have the ball in his hands at some points. I think Boogie Fland will. I think John L. Davis will. But it appears to me that I think, Calipari has made Malik Thomas comfortable and Darius Acuff comfortable. You two can play together. And so I don't know if this is going to happen. I'm not going to put a percentage on it. But I think right now Arkansas is in great shape for Malik Thomas. And you're now talking about a potentially second top 10 recruit in the backcourt who could end up in Arkansas Razorback. Really quickly, a couple other notes that I think are worth discussing really quick. Let's go ahead and talk about another player that I've discussed here on the Aaron Torres Pod and Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel a few times. And that's a player named Koa Pete. Now, Koa Pete's a unique kid. I'm lucky, right? I live on the West Coast. He's from Arizona originally. I was thinking about this. I have seen this kid play since he was in 8th grade. I remember the year after his 8th grade year, he goes to the Pangos All-American Camp in Vegas, plays against kids that are 4 years older than him. Derek Lively, who just finished his rookie year in the NBA, I remember was at that camp. Jalen Duren, who's been in the NBA for 2 years. Now, he reclassified a few weeks later, but the bottom line is Jalen Duren's been in that NBA for 2 years now. And Koa Pete was at the same high school camp as him. So I've seen this kid a ton, 6'8" forward from Arizona. I give the kid credit because he blew up early in his high school career. And he has not in any way, shape, or form slowed down or hasn't continued to develop. He's just getting better and better. 2 years ago, led the Adidas circuit in scoring. This summer was a very effective player on the Adidas circuit. Also played on that Team USA U17 team that kicked the crap out of everybody when they went overseas a couple months back and won the gold medal. Well, I bring it up because while I was gone, Koa Pete officially announced that he has cut his list and that he is setting up visits per Joe Tipton. He is going to visit Arizona, Arizona State, Baylor, Arkansas, and Duke. So this one is an interesting update to me. I want to go ahead and dive in. Now, what I will say is a couple things. One, he, as I said, is originally from the state of Arizona. And I think most people seem to think that Arizona is probably the leader in the clubhouse. I don't know that I necessarily feel that way. I don't know that there is a leader at this point. And by the way, when I say Arizona is not the leader, doesn't mean that I think Duke is the leader. Don't think I mean Arkansas is a leader or Baylor or whatever. What I just think is this is a kid, and I said it when we did our projecting each top 10, each 5-star recruit a few weeks ago. I said, I think he's the kind of kid, smart kid, his brother played high level college football, first round NFL draft pick. His dad played in the NFL. And I think they're going to take their time with their recruitment. This does not feel like a kid to me that is going to commit right after the visits. I think he's going to take his time. I think he's going to take his visits. And what I was told by somebody that I trust is that he's actually probably as likely as anybody to wait until the spring to make his commitment. I think he wants to wait. I think he wants to see a lot of variables. He wants to see how the high school class shakes out, how the portal class shakes out. And this feels like a kid to me might not commit till March, maybe even April, depending on circumstances, because he just wants to see how everything unfolds. With that said, what I also know, he knows that he is a one and done kind of kid. And he knows that he has to pick a school that is going to put him in position to succeed and succeed immediately. And nobody's better at that than John Calipari, okay? Now, again, I'm not saying that makes Arkansas the favorite because I don't think there is a favorite. But I do think you're talking Arizona, local school, Tommy Lloyd. Obviously, look, that guy is producing pros left and right. And the other thing about Arizona that's worth noting, they're probably going to lose quite a bit after this year. I would expect KJ Lewis, a big wing that they have, to go pro after this year. The only reason I bring it up is because I don't know that we can list Arkansas the favorite, because for the 11th time, I'm sorry for repeating myself, I don't know that there is a favorite. I think Arkansas's got as good of a shot as anybody on this kid, though, because, again, he's going to wait, going to play out the process, and my guess, he's going to pick a place that is going to put him in position to succeed right away. Obviously, Duke will be a factor, but I think we all think Duke is going to get Cameron Boozer. Does that take them out of the mix for Koa Pete? That remains to be seen. Baylor as well. We'll see what happens there. Finally, worth noting, a 4th top 10 prospect. So we talked about Darius Acuff, who's committed. We talked about Meleek Thomas, Koa Pete. Caleb Wilson's another really interesting one. Now, he's the only one that there's no real update since I left on vacation a few weeks ago. That's okay. Not everybody has to have an update. But this is a kid, 6'8", 6'9", interesting player, had a really good summer 2 years ago. The high school season was kind of up and down. People were kind of questioning him. He plays with Cameron Boozer, with the Boozer twins, Knight Riders, on the AAU circuit, and they end up winning Peach Jam. And what I was so impressed by was this kid is playing with another elite 5-star prospect. And basically, he had games where he was 20 points a game, and he had games where he had 6 points and 12 boards, and he did all the little things to help everybody win. So top 10 prospect, but a guy that clearly is comfortable and confident playing a role if need be. And his recruitment is certainly getting interesting as well. He cut his list before I went on vacation. Was worth noting that actually BYU got a phone call with him, and he was impressed by BYU. But Arkansas, I think, is in as good a spot as anybody with Caleb Wilson as well. I was going to say Caleb Love, then I was going to say Caleb Williams. Caleb Wilson, the 5-star player. So it's really interesting because, again, I just think that when I look at this class, we'll see what happens. By the way, a couple quick things before we get out of here. One, I already know what people are going to say. I know the Kentucky fans are going to get in and say, who cares? Calipari can't coach freshmen. Why are you even recruiting freshmen? listen, you can win with freshmen, the highest levels of college basketball, if they're good enough. Let's get that out of the way right now. And I know I'm rambling. I'll wrap here. Remember, 2 years ago, Alabama was the #1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Brandon Miller was their best player. 4 of their top 6 scorers were freshmen. John Calipari, for all the criticism at Kentucky last year, finished second in the SEC, beat Tennessee on the road to end the regular season, easily could have gone on a run. They had 5 freshmen playing significant minutes. So I don't buy that you can't win with freshmen. I don't want to hear the Cal, whatever. What I'm just here to tell you is there is a lot of talent in this 2025 recruiting class. And I think that Arkansas is in as good a shape as anybody to land quite a bit of it. I know we're switching gears to football soon, but I'll tell you, if stuff keeps popping up like this, we're going to keep talking about it. And we will see what happens with Meleek Thomas, with Koa Pete, and with others in this Arkansas recruiting class. If you enjoyed this video, do me a quick favor. Make sure to subscribe to the Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel. New clips, new videos going up every single day. Appreciate your support. Make sure to subscribe. Also,